doing about 17,500 miles an hour, about 5 miles a second. Engines quit. And then when engines quit, you go from 3 Gs to 0 Gs instantly because you're no longer accelerating. Gravity's still pulling you down, but you have no idea because you're just falling. You're just constant free fall. Everything else is floating and falling around you. So you get this perspective that you are weightless. Right now, we're doing about 800 miles an hour. All of us together right now are doing about 800 miles an hour because the Earth is spinning on its axis. Somewhere out in the universe, if they look back at the Earth, people would say, man, you're going quick. Because to them, you're going really fast, but to us, we're all the same speed. So I'm trying to get that picture of what it's like to be in weightlessness because we're all doing the same thing. Next slide. The Space Shuttle Endeavour was named after the HMS Endeavour, Her Majesty's ship, sailed by James Cook back in the 1700s. And he actually sailed his ship up that waterway right there. This is the North and South Island of New Zealand, and that's Cook Strait. We happened to rendezvous a space station right overhead that same place. And NASA historians are very good about pulling these details out. But it's kind of remarkable that, because the Endeavour is spelled with V-O-U-R, the English way. That's our ship. The space station took this photo. Next slide. The picture does not do it justice. It's the most awesome sight to see the space shuttle in flight. This is called the S1 truss. S stands for starboard. That's the right side. This is actually the left side, and we were going to place this exact same piece of hardware over here. So this is a rendezvous. This is a Russian service module, Russian functional cargo block, U.S. laboratory, and the big solar arrays. Next slide. This is my own spaceship. This is about a $12 million piece of hardware, a spacesuit. It maintains about 4.3 pounds per square inch of pressure on your body. You have to breathe 100% oxygen to be able to metabolize that oxygen. It's 100% oxygen environment behind that visor, but it's only 2 pieces of glass. And there's a visor that comes over, you'll see it in a second, between you and the rest of the vacuum of space. And you see the Earth from here to here. It's not the same as looking at it through three panes of glass on the space shuttle. But you're not a tourist. You actually have a lot of work to do. Next slide. I was going down the front of the truss, and Mike was inside the truss. He took a photo of me back. If you look really closely, Mike's upside down on my visor. This is the Friday neat stuff right here. This cable is the tether that prevents you from floating off into the vacuum of space if for some reason you float away. If you're moments in attention, and also you're floating away from space station, you'll go to about 50 feet on this little reel right here, and it'll actually stop and pull you back. It'll just kind of reel you in like a little fishing rod. If you're going too fast and that thing breaks, then there's a jetpack. You can only see one of the jets right there. It's a cold nitrogen pack on your back. You can actually fly yourself back to space station. And they actually practice that in a virtual reality lab. Put your visor on, and they kick you off the space station, rolling in 3 axes at about a foot per second away from space station at night, and they want you to fly back. It's pretty cool. If you're going at 2 feet per second, you might not get back because all it will do will slow you down. You don't have enough gas to actually drive you back into space station. So my mom told me not to let go, so I didn't let go. This is called a body restraint tether, BRT. This is a large crew bag that had a bunch of tools in it, and the gold stuff is handrail to hang on to. Remarkable photo of the Space Shuttle Endeavour docked. This is the flight deck. These are called star trackers. They're the devices that actually can look at the stars, and based on the field of what they see, they can go back in the memory of the computer and determine what your attitude is. So that's how we determine attitude. We have an inertial navigation system on board as well. These are the jets that actually fire to maintain your attitude in space. And they're like little cannons. When the main engines quit, those cannons start firing, and they're right outside the window, and it's like, no one tells you about that. That's the thing they don't tell you about, so it gets your attention. Next slide. This is, I think, even better photo. Mike, I actually have a 35 millimeter camera in my hand, taking a picture of Mike, taking a picture of me. You can see my cable hanging out here, hanging on with one hand. The U.S. laboratory, the robotic arm, big mobile platform that moves up and down the rail, and the Space Shuttle Endeavour. You can see the burn marks on the front of the shuttle right here. When it comes back in the atmosphere, this is actually the angle of attack, or the relative wind coming over when the thing's about 2,000 to 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Next slide. So So that's the picture. Mike was taking a picture of me. That's a picture I took of Mike on the other end of the space station. The station now is about twice as long as this. It's huge, sort of the football field wide. It's absolutely remarkable. I'll get some photos later on of the station's current configuration. We've been in space since 2000. We've had a continuous presence in space since the year 2000. We've flown this stuff in 1999, but we don't hear it on the news. I mean, there's somebody in space every single day. Every 90 minutes, the space station orbits the Earth, and there are 3 people, or 6 people, or 10 people, depending on who's up there, flying around the Earth. But you don't hear about it on the news. You only hear about it 6 seconds in the news when it launches, maybe when it lands. You'll hear about it a lot when something goes wrong. You know, you'll hear a lot about it when somebody in the office does something wrong, the astronaut office. And it's unfortunate because it's remarkable what we're doing in space. It's absolutely remarkable because this is the stuff that's going to change our life. This is the stuff that's going to allow us to go to places like the moon and Mars for long periods. And I'll talk more about that. Next slide. I had the chance to ride the robotic arm. This is a very good view of the Terminator, between light and dark, like clouds. I'm on the robotic arm holding a 1,000-pound cart in my hands. You can pick up 1,000 pounds worth of stuff and hang it with your fingertips. You know, go like this with a 1,000-pound cart. Now, it's massive. It takes it's got inertia. If you're going fast, it's hard to stop, but you can actually do that, and it's remarkable what you're capable of doing. Next slide. Here's another look at the Terminator, between light and dark, the atmosphere, how thin it is. It's remarkable to look at this and actually see, you can look down and see meteors going through the atmosphere below you, shooting stars below you, because the atmosphere is below you. And you see the purples and blues, and it's absolutely remarkable. Taking the time to actually look at it when you're working really hard is a challenge. You ever see the movie Vacation with Chevy Chase? He's at the Grand Canyon, and she goes, Clark, don't you want to look at the Grand Canyon? And he turns around and he goes, and he leaves. To look at space, you got to stop and go, okay, yep, that's neat. Go back to work because you got so much stuff to do. Incredible amount of stuff to do. Mike has a camera in his hand, taking a photo of me. Next slide. Looking back. So here's a solar array at the very top, and here's my tether across the top. The views are beautiful, but it's that feeling of satisfaction you get from doing a good job that I'll remember the rest of my life. It's not about the beauty of the Earth. It's not about being able to go up there and sightsee. It's about going up and getting paid. You have done something you trained for, and you want to do your entire professional life. And it's that feeling of satisfaction. 1 flight, 10 flights, how many other flights you do, that you will always remember. You have the pictures to remind you, but no picture can ever give you that same feeling of satisfaction as you get from doing a good job. Next slide. We backed away from space station after we installed the big piece right here and left 3 people. We left 3 people up there, we brought 3 people home, and that's how the cycle of the shuttle, about 184 days. Peggy Whitson, the lady we brought back on our flight, has been the commander of space station. She comes home, I think today, after 196 days in orbit. That's her, the first female commander of the International Space Station. Next slide. When I was a test pilot, I flew to Sigonella, Sicily, which is right about here, and this is Mount Etna. Taormino's right here, the Butte of Italy's over here. And I was, actually ran up to the side of this once, and it wasn't erupting, but I had a chance to be on Mount Etna when it was not erupting. And then when I flew over, it did erupt. And I took a picture of it, so you can see the plume come up to about 60,000 feet, and then get blown off across the Mediterranean in the jet stream. Quite remarkable. Next slide. This is the flight deck of the space shuttle. It's about 40 degrees in the space shuttle right here because we're getting ready to come home, and you get the shuttle really, really cold because it gets so hot. It actually warms up on the inside. A bunch of stuff. This is kind of neat. This is my book in zero G. It's my crew notebook. Things just kind of find their place and they fold out. You need big clips like this to hold stuff in place. There is Velcro everywhere, all over. Space station, thousands of